great plan. Worked perfectly. So, stick to the plan? Put down
Yo, what's up, everybody?
What's up?
It's your boy Blitz.
And I'm your boy Biggity Bliggity Bliggity Blurr.
Yo, sorry about y'all. I got a little Bruce Lee vibe going on right now. Yo, welcome to a new episode of Review and
Blurr.
So, yo, today we're bringing you guys a game that's loved and hated.
I mean, listen, this game is either you love it or you really hate it.
Yeah. You really love it or you really hate it. So,
And what are we talking about today?
today we'll be talking about Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance.
And the reason why we do Review and a Blur so we can get all the reviews done. So this Review and a Blur is normally 8 minutes or less.
All right, and let's jump right into it. So let's talk about the atmosphere, the graphics. Let's do graphics.
I think the graphics were okay. It wasn't the best that I've ever seen, but it wasn't the worst. I think some of the caverns that you walk in and some of the things you see,
it was a lot of detail.
It looked very beautiful. I'm not gonna say it was the best I've ever seen, but at least the graphics and the presentation was okay.
Okay, so dealing with graphics, let's jump into the sound, because the sound play an important part with the graphics to give you an atmosphere. Now, atmosphere-wise, there was no particular sense of dread was there, but it didn't feel like, God, what the heck is about to happen? It was a lot of options when you played the board, which is good board design, but I kind of felt like I was going to miss something if I didn't go that way, or if I went that way. You know what I'm saying? I didn't, because some ways you go and it's a dead end, you get a treasure and you come out.
Right.
Some ways you go and it completely takes you to another part of the board.
Right.
Then you have to backtrack to see what you missed. So as far as the boards and graphics and atmosphere, it felt good, but it was a little confusing.
The sound was okay. The sound wasn't nothing you're going to be like, oh, I gotta. Sometimes the song to me didn't put me in the atmosphere. Sometimes the song did. So to me it was hit or miss.
Yeah, but the voices and stuff was pretty good. So it worked out.
Yeah.
So speaking of voices, let's jump into character. How you feel about the characters? Let's start with Wolfguard. Wolfguard, my boy. The big barbarian.
He was good. I mean, he did a lot of damage. I didn't play Wolfguard. I played the dwarf. Because I'm about the same height as a dwarf. But
he beat me to it. How you gonna just steal my jokes like that?
Yeah, because I make fun of myself. You can't do it. The characters were okay. The design was okay. The banter between them, the talk, the seriousness was okay.
Yeah.
I don't know how much depth you could put into those. The character. I know they're supposed to be lore heroes of the lore. All of them were.
Yeah, you kind of got to be familiar with the backstory already.
So as far as the character, it was
Yeah. I started off with Wolfguard, and I was concerned about building up the stats and stuff like that. But once you get further into the game, you really do get some pretty sweet armor.
You do.
You get to unlock some moves in your skill tree and things of that nature, and like just resident abilities and stuff like that.
Can I make a point?
You upgrade pretty good.
The armor to me was a mixed bag of nuts. Because 1 minute you could be looking good, the next minute you could be looking trashy. In other words, one armor piece, like, oh my God, then you could have something look like a pail over your head with a mop for a sword and an actual wing for. So the I don't know why they did it like that, but it just didn't. Sometimes the armor just didn't look good. You're like, ugh. It's like, oh my God, this dude is ugly.
But it made you farm. It made you search the boards for one.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to find not just good armor, but matching armor.
Right.
And it made you farm certain boards and games. You're like, this is like stupid. I'm gonna go back and do this board all over again. This armor's dumb.
Okay.
But that's not to say. Still talk about the characters. Like each character had their own different sets of armor and things of that nature, and it kind of catered to what that person specialized in, and the skill tree, of course, and all that. And I used the archer, which I wasn't too crazy about at first, but then it came into be really good once you open them up. So all the plays that we used, once you
open them up, it gets better.
Once you open them up, it gets better. About Act 2 or 3.
What do you think about the story?
Hold
on, before we go to the story, the enemy design, the enemies.
It was a good mixture of enemies.
I think they're all stupid.
You couldn't just run through there and gun hole the whole time. Some enemies you can do that to. When it got to certain other enemies, they actually made it a little more complex, like the fading out druid kind of dudes that had the powers to shoot stuff at you. It kind of got complicated at certain points if you weren't careful.
But I think that all the enemies were kind of stupid.
Yeah.
No flanking, no, to me it was like.
Well, they were goblins. Goblins aren't generally,
Yeah, but they just stood there. A lot of times I go up there and beat them, and they're just staring there like,
Yeah.
No running away. Come on.
The
You can be a goblin, but you ain't a stupid goblin. You still feel pain.
The AI could have been bumped up a little bit. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't bad, but it definitely wasn't like the top 3 best versions of it. It could have used a little more development. It definitely wasn't Shadow of Mordor.
Right.
With that excellent game franchise.
So, what do you think about the overall story of the game?
The story itself was good. It was direct. It was to the point. You knew what your focus was. You knew what your goal was. You had a clear-cut line of what you had to do and everything that was coming. And with all the different bosses and different levels, everything built up, it was still the same goal to kind of reach.
It never changed, though. That's my whole thing. It just, to me, it never changed.
Well,
it was just dungeon. I mean, I understand it was a dungeon crawler, but it just never changed. It's like when you entered the first board, it felt like that through many of the boards where you just.
Yeah, it got a little harder. The locations changed.
But it was boring. It got boring.
Okay.
It got boring.
Repetitive.
It got really repetitive. Okay. It got boring. But the CGI cutscenes were dope.
Yeah. The banter was good.
Yeah, the CGI, everything about the CGI was dope. When the guy fell down, they collected his body and all that stuff.
When the goblin was killing each other.
Yeah,
so like that, yeah.
I mean when he saw the dwarves fighting and all that, and so the CGI was more to me. I could have watched all the CGI. I had a better time with the CGI than the game.
Yeah, it has a really deep lore and mythos involved with that whole series.
But they didn't put it
each one of the 4 main characters will form a completely different, epic part of the previous Dungeons and Dragons game, where they all had they were all spectacular in their own rights to get to that point. And you're going against the final boss and everything, trying to stop them from obtaining the piece that you needed. But overall, the game, I would say my quick synopsis of the overall judgment of the game is it's better multiplayer. Single player is okay, but it's not as good. When we multiplayer the game, I enjoyed more. I played longer. It was a competition who can kill the most and things of that nature. And it really kind of pushed you.
I think the problem with me with the multiplayer, it was not cross-platform. You can only play it on if you have PlayStation.
PC to PC, PlayStation to PlayStation.
Right. It wasn't cross-platform. I think they could have did that. I think that would have opened it up a little bit more.
Yeah, because we had grand plans of inviting some guys we cross-play with, but it didn't work. But overall score of the game, I give it a low C. It was fun. If you just want to get on there and have fun with your friends, then the game, if that's what the game was intended for, I would give it a higher grade. But I don't think that's what it was intended for. I think it was supposed to be a little bit more of a standalone serious game. I give it a low C.
I give it a D minus.
D minus.
It got boring. After a while, it got repetitive. It got boring. It didn't bring no new sauce to it. What you see is what you get. It's like through all the boards we played, even together, it was boring. We had fun bantering back and forth, but that was the only fun I had. It wasn't like, and then some of the glitches that we had to deal with. We went to the boss. We didn't even know that it was a boss, and it was just wild, the way they did things. So, reviewing the Blur, 8 minutes or less. I give it a D minus. You give it a what?
I give it a C minus. And just to cover that, also, we went to some forums. And we took a look at it. It has a lot of 1 stars and it has a lot of 5 stars.
So
it's a big gap in there. Overall, from an informative game system, it gives it 2.7 stars. Out of 630 people delivering ratings and sponsors to it, it got a 2.7 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, so I will tell you this: if you can get it on Game Pass for free, play it.
Yeah, it is free.
Right, on Game Pass is free. Other than that, don't waste your time.
Yeah, I'll probably play it again. I like it, but it's more fun with your friends. So that's been a review in the Blur.
Hey, this is your boy Blur.
This is your boy Blitz.
And before we go, please give us the HBO special. What is that?
Help a brother out.
Do us a favor, hit us a thumbs up, subscribe, like, share, so we can grow this game community. And what else can we be at?
Check us out on TikTok at game_. _changers_ENT.
Yeah, this your boy Blur.
This is your boy Blitz.
And we'll GCE.
Just gonna blow the signature run.
GCEU what later? All right, let's go.